Ever wonder where new words really come from? I mean, they don't just magically appear in a dictionary. Nope, they come from a hidden system that all of us use every single day, probably without even realizing it. So today, we're going to crack the code on something called derivation. It's the secret engine that builds our language one little piece at a time.
So how does it all work? How do we take a word that we already know and, in a split second, turn it into something new? Well, it turns out it's not random at all. There's this surprisingly simple and, honestly, kind of beautiful system behind it all.
Okay, so check this out. We all know the word happy, but you add one tiny piece to the very front of it, and boom, you've completely flipped its meaning. Just like that.
Or let's try another one. You take an emotion, sad, and you stick another little piece on the end this time, and you've turned it into the state of being sad. You're starting to see the pattern here, aren't you?
So, what we just did there with unhappy and sadness, that's not just a neat trick. It's a fundamental process. It has a name, and believe me, it is the powerhouse behind a massive part of the English language.
The process is called derivation, and it is by far the most common way we create new words. It's really all about taking a word you know, adding a little something to it, and making a brand new one. It's simple, but it's incredibly powerful.
And that little something we keep adding, well, that has a name too. It's called an affix. You can think of it like a specialized building block for language, kind of like a Lego piece. Things like on, or nis, or full. They aren't really words on their own, but you attach them to another word, they suddenly have a job to do.
Okay, so these little language Legos, they come in a few different types. Let's start with the most common ones we use in English, the pieces that get tacked on right at the beginning of a word.
In English, we mostly deal with two kinds of these affixes, and the difference couldn't be simpler. It's all about placement. Prefixes attach to the beginning of a word, and suffixes, well, they attach to the end. So let's look at prefixes first.
We've already met this guy. The prefix un just snaps right onto the front of happy and totally negates it. It's like a tiny linguistic switch that just flips the meaning from on to off.
Or how about this one? Look at the prefix miss. You add it to lead and you get mislead, which means to lead someone down the wrong path. The core idea of leading is still there, but that little prefix adds a whole new layer of negative intent.
All right, so that covers the front of the word. Now let's flip it around and look at the other side of the coin, the pieces that come in at the very end. These are the suffixes.
So here, you take the suffix less and attach it to the word care, and you get careless, which of course means without care. And notice something cool here. It often changes the word's job, in this case, turning a noun into an adjective.
And this is where it gets really fun and flexible. You're not limited to just one of these things. Just look at a word like disrespectful. It's built with both a prefix, dis, at the front and a suffix, full, at the end, all wrapped around that root word respect.
And you can even stack them. The word foolishness actually has two suffixes. First, you add ish to fool to get foolish. Then you add ness to that to get foolishness. It's just like building with Legos, snapping one piece onto another.
So you're probably wondering, just how big is this toolkit? Well, it's huge. In English alone, we have about 200 of these little derivational affixes to play with. That's roughly 90 prefixes and 110 suffixes. Just think about that for a second. 200 different tools just for tweaking and creating words. Okay, so you're thinking, got it, beginning or end, simple. Well, language always has a few surprises up its sleeve. There's another way to add an affix that kind of breaks all the rules we just learned.
Yeah, you probably heard someone say something like this before. This is called an infix, an affix that goes right in the middle of a word. Now, in English, this isn't a standard grammar rule. It's what linguists call expletive insertion, and we just use it for emotional emphasis. But in other languages, it's a completely normal way to build words.
To see how this works as a standard, everyday rule, let's take a look at the Khmu language, which is spoken in parts of Southeast Asia. In Khmu, putting an affix in the middle isn't for emphasis, it's a core part of their grammar.
So check this out. In Khmu, if you have the verb do, which means to chisel, you can turn it into the noun for the tool, a chisel, by inserting the infix rn right smack in the middle of the word.
And it's not a one-off. We see the exact same pattern right here. The verb see, which means to drill, becomes srini, a drill, just by inserting that same rn infix. It's a totally predictable, elegant system, just like the one we use for prefixes and suffixes.
Okay, so you've seen the pattern, you know the rule for turning a verb into a noun in Khmu, so now let's put that new knowledge of yours to the test. All right, here is your puzzle. If the word sernl is the noun for an ear ornament, what do you think the original verb is for to put an ornament in the ear? Just think about the rule we just learned and how you'd run it in reverse. I'll give you a second.
Did you get it? The answer is sal. Since we know that the NR infix is what turns a verb into a noun, all you have to do is reverse the process. You just pull it out, and you're left with the original verb sal. Pretty neat, right?
And that little puzzle, it actually shows us something really profound and universal about how human languages work. It's not just some random collection of sounds. There is a system, there are rules.
So let's just boil it all down. Here are the key takeaways. First, words aren't these solid, unbreakable things. They're built from smaller, meaningful pieces. Second, the basic idea of adding these pieces to change a word's meaning, that's found in languages all over the globe. The only thing that really changes is the method, whether that piece goes on the front, the end, or, as we've seen, right in the middle.
And you know, this system isn't some historical relic locked away in a textbook. It's alive. We are using it all the time, constantly inventing new words to describe our ever-changing world. Which really leads to a final fascinating question. With all these building blocks at our disposal, what new words are we going to create tomorrow?